All right. Okay, welcome. Welcome to the website formula, secrets to a winning online presence for wellness businesses. So we're really excited that you guys could join us today live. And then hello to those who are going to be watching the replay. Our goal here is to support you with either revamping and overhauling your website, or if you're just getting started, what to look for when you're creating it. But there's always lots of things that we can do to better our online presence, especially in the wellness industry, so that you can have a bigger impact and reach more people and all of those good things. So we will just hop right into it here. So for those who don't know us well, my name is Toria. Alana is my partner. Her and I will be speaking through all this content today. We both have a background in marketing. We've worked for various agencies, and through that and on our own, we've worked with clients of kind of all sizes, everyone from the kind of hustling side business owner who's just getting started, all the way up to kind of bigger brands that are national and international in the wellness space and in other industries as well. Both service-based and e-commerce. So we've had our hands in a lot of strategies. We've also both built websites and done like project management for websites. And we know that, marketing strategy and how you create your website, there's a lot of overlap there. And yeah, we joined forces not too long ago, bringing kind of our collective marketing backgrounds together. And then we also have this passion for wellness, both in our personal lives, what we've seen, how it has helped us, grow as both entrepreneurs and just live a more fulfilling life. And yeah, so we wanted to kind of combine all of these things into Market Me strategy, which serves wellness business owners through resources, group programs, masterminds, one-on-one consulting, all these kind of things. So we can, feel free to chat with us and connect with us on social as well. We'd love to get to know you guys. So today, what you guys can expect is kind of 3 parts of a website. So we're going to talk about the content side of things, what that looks like, how to design the structure, the build, the layout, these pieces, and then as well as the SEO strategy around your business so that your website can show up in searches and also be user-friendly and all of that. So hopping forward here.
So we like to start webinars or our programs with a mindset moment. So before we get into all the content, just to give you some context and background and really help you figure out what your goals are. If you have a piece of paper, feel free to write it down, pen to paper, or you can take notes on your computer. But we're looking for you to answer what are your goals for your website? So is it to book clients, to sell online, or are you just looking to start a blog, maybe some affiliates?
Also, feel free if you want to share your responses in the chat as well. Also gives us more context of where you guys are at and where we can focus. So feel free to do so.
And then what is your budget and resources? So do you have more time so you can do it yourself, or do you have more money so you could offload it to a professional? And what's your timeline to do this? So do you need this set immediately, or are you more passive about it? What's your goal to get this done? Okay. Does everyone have these answered? Okay. So to piggyback off of that Do you need a website? The simple answer is yes. And here's why. Number one, it increases credibility and trust with clients. It helps bring in more customers and business. And it also acts as the center of all your marketing efforts. So it provides your audience with more information on your products and services. It also will help you be found on Google a lot faster. It allows others to easily refer clients your way. And then you can provide customers with an easy way to book online and expand to making sales online. So you can also create an e-commerce portion to your website and create more passive income that way. And
Okay.
then, oh, go ahead. Yep, sorry.
Oh, no, go, you can go if you're like all good. I was just.
So we're going to get into the first part of the webinar, which is content gathering. So we're going to be talking about insider secrets to crafting a compelling website that engages, educates, and converts your audience into loyal followers or customers.
Okay, so kind of the flow when it comes to creating the compelling copy for your website, right? You want content that's going to relate to both your customer, but also feel authentic to your brand and what you sell. So here's kind of a step-by-step process. You need to have a good understanding of your customer. So gathering like the copy of what their words are, their pain points, and how they would describe them. So sometimes we can get trapped in what language we as wellness experts might say or use, but then there can be a gap there if your end audience doesn't actually describe their pain that way. So really understanding that and starting there. We do have a free Know Your Customer guide, which can help with this process. So if that's something you're interested in, oh, great, awesome. You can check it out in the chat there. So then step 2 is kind of taking that further and doing some research. So looking at either other websites in your industry and in your niche that are successful and ranking on Google. This can just be a good starting point of kind of seeing, okay, like how do they structure their website? What is important to them? What are they calling out in the bigger, bolder areas? These types of things. So that's a good foundation of creating that compelling copy and also looking for like what makes you unique in that as you're kind of auditing and you're like, okay, these people might do this, but my formula or my process is different in this way, or I come with this blend of background. So then you can kind of know, what to showcase on your own end. So then after that, you want to get into gathering testimonials. So even if you're just starting out, maybe you do free sessions for friends and you get their feedback, or you start with family members. And then beyond that, once you have some clients that have, paid you for your service, obviously having a system in place that asks them for reviews is huge. Not only is this, like a window into that language that they're using, but then it's that social proof as well that we want to feature throughout your website. And then the next step would be creating like enticing hooks and headlines that align with your ideal customer. So this is getting super concise, straightforward, simple, decluttering all the content. You can say lots, you can have, paragraphs on end or links through to blogs, but you want like your headlines and hooks to grab their attention, to really speak to their challenge and speak to your transformation that you provide. And if anyone is stuck on that or has questions on that, let us know. We can, we also have put together a guide or like a template basically that helps you generate headlines. Okay, so from that, here's a bit of like a kind of summary checklist of what compelling copyright looks like on your website. So you want to use clear, unique value propositions. So that is things like, why should the visitors, do business with you, or why should they buy from you, and the benefits of it in a nice, again, straightforward way. Think of those kind of, I help X overcome Y type of statements, or I help, so-and-so reach this place. Next, enticing headlines. So identify their problem concisely, using subheadlines to propose your solution. So again, so the person that just skims content can easily digest what you're saying without getting into the nitty gritty. Not everyone, reads everything, whereas on the flip side, some people love that. So having that balance there with enticing headlines and supportive subheadlines. And of course, you always want a simple call to action button. So obvious click. What are you trying to get them to do at that spot in your website? What makes sense there? Is it to learn more about a service? Is it to get on a call with you? So keeping those very obvious. I'm testing them out too on different platforms so they are obvious. And then keeping forms, short with minimum fields so that you can capture their email and have more chances to nurture them later on. Pardon me, tickle. Alana, I might need you to do this one.
Okay. So we just laid out 2 separate websites that you could see like a clear headline call to action. So this is Gabby Bernstein. So obviously with Gabby, she's like a well-known professional in her field. She doesn't really need to lay much out. She introduces who she is and then what she does. And from that, you get a clear call to action with an opt-in. So get free meditations. It's clear what you're getting. You don't have to pay for it. And it's a nice opt-in right away. So she can grab whoever visits her website's information. The next one, Toria, is a similar professional, not as famous, but his goal is a little bit different from Gabby. So he's selling a book. And you can see the headline, what it is, Claim Your Power. The subheadline, a 40-day journey to dissolve the hidden blocks that keep you stuck and finally thrive in your life's unique purpose. Order your copy today to receive these bonuses. So you have a call to action here. And then underneath, again, it says get your bonus gift. So it tells you what it is with form. With this form, it's a little bit different. You would typically just want like first name, email, and then whatever last name or whatever you're looking for. You could do phone number. Texts are working a lot better than emails these days. But he has a receipt number. So you have to verify that you bought the book in order to get your bonus gifts. But again, just a little bit different. This one's more e-commerce. What makes an enticing headline? So you have clarity. A headline should clearly convey what the website or specific page is about. It should provide your customer an idea of the content or the offer the visitor can expect. Benefit oriented, so it highlights the benefits or the value proposition in the headline, can grab the customer's attention, as well as focus on what the customer will gain or how their problem will be solved by engaging with your website. It should have an emotional appeal. So a headline that evokes emotions can be compelling. It can create a connection with the visitor by appealing to their desires, their aspirations, or their pain points. You could also use intrigue and curiosity. So using words or phrases that pique curiosity can make visitors want to learn more. So teasing them with a compelling question or a surprise statement or a unique perspective. An example of this would be if you're selling a course, you could say, preview our course content. So that would be like intrigue and curiosity. I'm interested in this course. I want to see what it has to offer. Specificity, I can't say this word. Specific, yeah, we're going with it. Adds credibility and clarity to your headline. So it communicates that you have a specific solution or expertise to offer. Specific numbers, statistics, or outcomes can make the headline more enticing. It could also help build trust. Urgency and scarcity. So incorporating a sense of urgency or scarcity can create a fear of missing out and motivate users to take an action. Highlight limited time offers, exclusive deals, or time limited benefits in your headline. Personalization. So tailoring the headline to your target audience can make it more appealing. Speak directly to their needs, preferences, or interests to grab their attention and show that your website is relevant to them. So that can be really, really powerful, especially if you're in a niche. You also want to use engaging language. So use powerful and descriptive words that engage the reader. Use action verbs, adjectives, or strong language that elicits a response or emotion. Conciseness. Keep your headline concise and to the point. Short, punchy headlines are more likely to grab attention and be easily consumed. You also, very importantly, want to A/B test. So experiment with different headlines and perform an A/B test to see which one resonates the most with your audience. Continuously refine and optimize your headline based on data and user feedback. So you do want to be keeping a tally of how many people converted or booked in a meeting based off of what content or call to action or headline you had and what the language was that was being used. Should headline be supported by a subheadline, or it can go independently in website sections? So I would say it's better to have a subheadline under a headline because you do want the headline to be quite short and you're able to communicate your value proposition a little bit faster that way. We'll get into that later, but you only have a limited amount of time to grab a user's attention, and just a headline with a call to action might end up hurting you. Toria, do you want to?
Yeah, and a great way too for thinking of headline and subheadline, it also adds that like stylistic component. So depending on like your design, and we'll kind of get into design a little bit, but it can really allow someone's eye to easily skim through your content, but still get like, the gist of it. So that's a great way. And then too, depending on like your design look and feel, it allows you to kind of incorporate, say, 2 different font weights or 2 different styles, which again can just be used to emphasize different content in a different way. But kind of, a best practice more or less can be the flow of this, where the headline is sort of the problem call out that engages with them and makes them feel like, oh, you're speaking to me. And then the subline proposes like a teaser of how you bring that solution to them. So yeah, I'll just jump back ahead here. Okay, so here we just wanted to show you a few kind of headline type examples. Any other questions, I guess, before we hop along on the headline component? We really wanted to emphasize this, even though we're talking about websites in general, but the copywriting is your biggest asset when especially if you're starting out, of just relating to your customer. And now there's so many user-friendly website options out there that help you, pick and plug and put in all your things. So your copywriting is really what can help you build that trust. So things like the how to get result in a certain amount of time, or do something like a pro, these kind of the secrets to like these kind of phrases are a good way to start, and then you can kind of riff off of them from there. Feel free to either write in the chat or unmute if that's easier, Usama.
I have one question related to A/B testing of headline. How would we know that the thing that is working is just for the headline? Do we add other elements into that A/B testing process, like images, background image, or the color, or the subheading? So how we'll know that this A or B test is working?
Totally. Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think there's a few ways to think of it. I'll say my one piece is that social media is a great like testing ground for these kind of things. So whether, right, because everything kind of has a short shelf life and you're not committing to anything, you can see that. So you can play around with testing out your headlines in your social captions, and then seeing, like, even if you use the same image, but you space it out for a month or something, and it's testing that headline, or the other way around, try over a week. You can even ask, depending on your social engagement in your stories, right? Like you could send a poll out one Monday that uses the one headline, and then do it again and see if there's like more traction. So I think social is a great way to play around with it. It might not be a official like science-based A/B test where it's like perfect and there's no other variables, but those are kind of hard to achieve anyways. And if you dabble in the world of ads, another great place to test your headlines and then apply them to your website. But then again, that takes a little bit of money right behind that, but you get a bigger sample set. So you're testing beyond just those who already are in your network. I don't know, Alana, if you have any other thoughts on.
Yeah, I would say when it comes to the website portion, there's some websites that allow you to do A/B testing. So when you're doing the A/B testing, I would have it depending how much traffic you get, right? So if you don't get a lot of traffic, I would run the A/B test for 30 days with just one change. So that change could be your headline, and then see how that performs. And then the next change could be your call to action, and then see how that performs. But it really depends on the traffic amount, because you do want like a good enough basis. If you run it for a week and you don't get a lot of traffic, that's not really going to tell you. So if you're looking for volume and you're looking fast, then yeah, social, email, ads. But if you're looking on your website, you're going to run it for a longer test period, and then just look at the analytics. GA4 is, I don't know if you've had a chance to try it, a little bit harder, but with UA on Google Analytics, you could track the customer journey, and that would tell you a lot. So that would be the ways you're going to find it that way.
Mm-hmm. I think too, depending on your tech abilities, right? Like I know you have a bit of more of that tech background, so you can probably do some digging on your analytics. Whereas someone who maybe is starting out, like I think it's always fair to go with like a qualitative style testing. Like say in our Know Your Customer guide, we talk through just like interviewing a handful of your ideal clients, recording it, getting their language, right? So like finding that, and then you could even go back to them and be like, hey, here's what I'm playing with. What's more compelling to you? And yeah, it's a small sample. Maybe it's 10 people, but people tend to have similar kind of behavioral like responses to things. So if a few of them, choose one over the other, you could start there as like a way to drill down. So there's different ways to kind of test depending on how much data you have to work with. It's okay to do it on a small scale as well to get things going, to not just make our own assumptions, right?
Not to overwhelm everyone, but Usama, if you are interested, you could purchase a heat map software, and that will also give you the analytics a lot faster.
Thank you for sharing the information.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so kind of phase 2 is the actual design and creation of this website. So you might have you've gone through kind of this content gathering phase, and you're ready to put it into more action, or maybe you have a website up and you're ready to kind of apply it there. So we wanted to talk about that and kind of go into some details, because you really have, the briefest moment ever to make a first impression with your website. And so that's why that compelling copywriting can be a really good sticky point to keep someone there, even if they're not, into your design style or whatever that might be. A good content is a great place to start. So then from there, it's like, okay, how are we going to choose, from all these website platforms, depending on where you're at? So here's some kind of questions, thoughts to think through when choosing of what makes sense for you and your business, right? So everyone's at a different phase, different growth, resources, budget, all these things. And that's why we had you write down those pieces at the beginning. So keeping those filters in mind of what's important. But thinking through, okay, the ease of use, like, am I really not tech savvy. I don't want to have to pay for a developer ever. Like, so that's really important to me. Okay, that's going to be a way to make your selection of what platform to choose. Same with pricing, the SEO friendly nature of it, especially if you're a local business and you want to come up in searches, right? That might be a driver of how you make your decisions. Does it align with your goals? So if you're trying to expand to selling courses, is there an easy way to do that in the platform? Things like that. And then, of course, security and support can be huge as well. Like if you need a lot of support and want to have that chat support where someone can help you fix something easily, some platforms, do a better job of that than others. So those are some things to think about as you're kind of making these choices. And here's just a sample of sort of, say, 6 of kind of the bigger players, or 6 ones that we've used a lot with our clients. And same thing, there's no necessarily right or wrong choice. It really comes down to what's important in your business. But for example, something like Wix or GoDaddy can be very user-friendly, can be easy for someone who doesn't maybe have a web development experience to be able to pull and plug and build their site. That said, they come with limitations in how you can lay things out in an interesting way and how you can have design elements or certain functions and all of that. But if you're starting out, that can be a great place to start, because you always have to remember too, you can always expand and change as you go. You definitely don't need to stick to something for life, right? So another option that's quite popular is Squarespace. So again, it has a nice blend of being able to do e-commerce, say, professionally and look well, but it can't necessarily integrate with everything out there. So just different things that might come into play. We use Showit, which is a nice kind of middle ground where it's basically like a front end kind of platform to creating a WordPress site. So there's like templates and there's drag and drop, but it still has options to get custom and to, if you had development skills or if you want to work with a developer to make it a little bit more unique and function on different ways, that's there. And then Shopify and WordPress, many people have heard of. Shopify is really that like kind of e-commerce king, and WordPress is the site that or the platform that lets it grows with you. It kind of has limitless options, but on the flip side, it can be very overwhelming if it's not set up perfectly for, a newbie to go in and try to make changes without breaking something, right? So it really depends on what is important to you. But that said, it can grow and evolve and become, a really beautiful platform that lots of designers love to work in because there's no real restraints. So those are just some thoughts to think of as you are making your choices with that, or maybe figuring out what works for you. But yeah, as we shared in the chat there, if you want to try out Showit, we have a 1 month free kind of thing that you can check out. And yeah, so far we've loved using it. Okay, so moving on here.
So when you're thinking about design, you need to plan for success. You want to figure out your color schemes. So either figure out your brand yourself or hire someone who does branding and logos. And then from there, you'll be able to have your color schemes, and you only want to utilize 2 to 3 fonts in your website. So you don't want to have more than 2 to 3 fonts running within your paragraphs. So I think we have header, subheader, and then a different font for paragraphs. So those are our 3, but you could also just do 1 for headers, and then paragraph and subheading can be the same. Depends on your brand and how you want to be portrayed. You're going to also gather attractive images that align with your brand. So you can use stock images or hire a photographer. We would recommend hiring a photographer because stock images typically just don't perform as well. And when they're personal pictures, it's that added form of trust within your brand, and it's able to showcase you a little bit more. I don't know if we say this later on in the webinar, I can't remember, but pictures that incorporate people, aka you, tend to do better than just like a random image. So that's something to keep in mind. You also want to create a sitemap, which is an outline of the pages and sections needed, and then find a template or theme that works with your sitemap and brand. So once you have your brand and your sitemap in mind, start shopping the web for themes or templates. And then you can usually find those just by Googling whatever platform you went with and seeing if they have a free theme or template, or then you can go to designers and they usually have paid ones as well that you can implement. So moving on to website structure. So this would be the ideal website structure. You want to have a clear headline, as we spoke about, a sub headline that informs the user a little bit more, a clear call to action. So what step do you want them to take, as well as an image. And again, just touching on the fact that you want it to be a video or an image of you rather than a stock image. Testimonials, or sorry, benefits would be underneath. So you could outline the 3 benefits of working with you or your brand or whatever you're trying to sell. And then you want to do testimonials and transformations. If you're a particular person and your business is you, it would be good to do a mix of someone talking about you as a professional and how they had such a great experience with you, as well as not with you. What's the transformation that they achieved? Where were they? And how did they come out working with you? So you don't want it to just be like, Kim was so awesome to work with. I really felt comfortable with her. Would use her again. That's not going to really boast. Like, you want it to be, I was so lost before I found Kim. Kim really helped me get clear on the text that I needed to be using to communicate with my customer. And since working with her, I've booked countless clients. That would be a better testimonial and transformation.
And yeah, on that note, like when you, like if you're collecting testimonials, obviously you can't contrive what they're saying, but you can fill in the story for your user. So you can say like, meet Kim. She was struggling to get clarity on her strategy and felt a lot burnout because she was making all these decisions on her own. She joined my program and took her through my 10-step process. And, now she works with a small team of VAs, has more time and is making more money or whatever, right? So it's like her actual testimonial might be a short snippet, but you can paint the before where she was and later by giving some context, or depending on what your service is, right? Giving either, some form of case study type of information so that the person reading can really put themselves in their shoes and understand, okay, I'm like her, I have the same challenge. If I work with them, I can get to, Z as well, kind of thing. Okay, should I hop to the next one?
Kim, did you have a question?
Yes, hi. Excuse me. I'm just wondering for wellness entrepreneurs that are just getting started and haven't worked with anyone yet, do you have any that's not me, I'm speaking on behalf of some in my network. What do you recommend in terms of testimonials? Like, how can you get over that hurdle?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a few approaches. I'd say one, like, in marketing, like storytelling always works. And so you don't have to be, I'm not saying be snaky about it by any means, but you can tell a story of like, imagine, like, picture this, you now feel, way less stressed. You have, I don't know, a calendar that doesn't overwhelm you. You're still able to pick up your kids from school. Like, how would that feel if, to get there, all you did was dedicate 10 minutes a day to breath work? Through my program, this is what it is. So it's like you can tell the story of what you really want an ideal client to experience, even if they haven't yet, because it might be based on your own transformation, right? Lots of times wellness practitioners get into something because they had a problem or a pain or something, and they discovered a certain modality or a certain practitioner, and that like changed their view on things, and then they like became that type of coach themselves, or they wanted to, so You can use your own stories. You can tell stories from like kind of a third party, like imagine this type of scenario. And then I'd say lastly, like leaning on, like, especially if you're just starting out, like you want experience anyways of like getting through your system and whatever that might look like in your service. So as much as you can either do trades with other starting up practitioners or, you know, just free things for your family members and start collecting testimonials there, can be a great place to start too. I don't know, Lana, if you have any other thoughts on it, but
Yeah. So Toria, you brought up my next slide like twice, so we'll go through that in the next slide. But I'd say I would leverage doing your friends and family and asking them for a testimonial is really, and then use those until you have better ones, and then slide in the better ones. But if you go to the next slide, so you can call out those ideal customer profiles or case studies. So Toria was saying, you know, like meet Betty. Betty has been struggling from burnout, blah, blah, blah. These are 5 ways that we were able to get her to overcome this situation. So you can, a lot of people do have more than one ideal customer, or it's like the same type of person, but in different stages. And you can call that out here. Like, are you customer A? Are you customer B? Are you customer C? And talk about the pain points, objections, and everything within those case studies and profiles. And then you can actually just use that instead to Kim, where you just don't put the testimonials up there. You just call out these people, and then you have the bio of who you are, where again, you can talk about your story and how you got to where you are today. So yeah, you just opt out of the testimonial portion of it and then just bring it in when you can. And then again, you want another clear call to action. So we would recommend that you have at least 2 to 3 call to actions on your site. When you're designing your site, you want to design your site. You obviously want it to be aesthetically pleasing and nice on the eye, but you also want to direct the eye to what action you want them to take. So you want it to be very clear on the action that you want to take. There's 2 ways people read websites. So it's either through the Z pattern or through the F pattern. And you want to lay out your website that way so that the eye is either reading from here to here, or the eye is reading from here, here, here. So those are 2 ways that you can structure it, but that's how everyone reads it. And then just make the call to action within that point. So you can kind of see like you are a little bit reading the F pattern the same way the Z pattern goes. Like there's the navigation, you come through, there's the headline, and then F, you should put your call to action where that bottom F point is, and same with 4 in that Z. And then you want to make the colors psychologically so that they want to choose the color. So you want that call to action color to stand out in comparison to everything else in your website, if that makes sense.
perfect. Okay, so you've kind of gathered your content and you've organized it. You started to apply it to like a visual platform through choosing a platform that makes sense for where you're at. And then kind of a final step in this process of that formula for your website is the SEO behind it. So oftentimes this can feel overwhelming because maybe people don't know what it means or like the tech behind it, but it doesn't have to be as complicated as it might seem. And it really is a way to ensure that your content, you know, gets seen and get viewed, but it's a combo of working for the search engines, but also for real people, right? It's optimizing your content in a way that people digest it and helping them, you know, kind of understand the full spectrum of what you do. So we'll just hop into that here. And like I said here, it's like that authority and credibility, because if people spend more time on your site, you become more of an authority in the eyes of Google and these types of things. And your content is more likely to also be shared or referred to. So it all kind of compiles together. Okay, so if you're trying to figure out where to start when it comes to the world of SEO, you need to do a bit of keyword research. And there are some simple and effective ways to understand your keywords. So some of that goes back to, right, how we understood our customer through interviews and different means that was in that guide. So you're basically putting yourself in your customer's shoes and thinking, like, what would they search to find you? Like on a kind of basic level, if you were to go search out something, what would it be? And thinking it from that perspective, it's not always the service, it's sometimes the problem. And that's why those headlines that feature that can really help. You can also go through reviewing the competitors' websites, right? Taking a look of other people. If you're a mindful coach, looking up other mindful coaches and being like, okay, what kind of page titles do they use? What headings? What is your eye naturally drawn to? And kind of putting this in as part of your research. And then going a step further is utilizing different tools out there that help you find these keywords. So there's things like Ubersuggest and Moz.com, which help like pull in real data of what key terms are related to certain searches and all of this. Same with things like typing into Google and seeing what it puts out as like the autocomplete, or when you do a search, it'll show you like related searches in the little like window below. These kind of things can help you understand what someone is searching. And then same with tools like Google Search Console and other analytic tools that tap right into what people search to find your site specifically. So the point of the keyword research is obviously so you can put that on your website and it applies to your audience and to what you're offering. But also this idea of kind of like clustering your content. So it's kind of where like the content strategy and SEO work together. So this is basically like it aims to establish this clear structure for both the user, real humans, and the search engines to understand like the hierarchy of your content. So content clustering is, and if you know much about content strategy, you might have heard the term content pillars before, which are basically just like the main themes that your brand stands behind in the content world. So you might have 3 or 4 or 5 of these big pillars that's like, okay, I'm all about these 5 things. And so then from there, those are the main pillars. We kind of create these webs of content that come out from there. So you're almost clustering content and you're going to more niche terms and sub-related things, right? So you might be, someone who, say, is launching a breathwork kind of sessions where you take people through and you teach them how to use breathwork and all this stuff. So yeah, you want to talk about breathwork, but you might also talk about some of like the sub things from that. So maybe it's like using breathwork to be more productive as an entrepreneur. So now you have this kind of like entrepreneur cluster, and maybe there's other tools that you also give them that pair well with a breathwork practice, but it's all based around that. So anyway, so we're trying to organize your content basically in a way that makes sense for humans and search engines to really just like eat it up and find what they need to find in a clear way. So that's kind of what that last point is saying, is it enhances the user experience through this clear content journey where users can navigate through. And you'll often see this where there might be a service page on something, and then in there they'll show like related blogs to that specific service. So then now you want to click on that blog and you're kind of guided down in a journey that makes sense to the flow of what you're interested in. Because someone might come to you for one thing that's like very different than, you know, another customer coming through you. So if your content is clustered in this way, it helps just maintain them on the site. And also, like I said, helps Google really understand what you're all about. So here's a bit more of like a chaotic visual representation, because it's not clean and orderly. It doesn't have to be perfect. So you might have 4 main pillars of your content. And then maybe this pillar is really kind of like the it's the basis of everything you do. So you have two services that really speak to that. And one of the services you blog niche down, you blog about that. And maybe this blog kind of overlaps with your second pillar. So both of those pages are linking to it. And maybe this pillar, you also link to some external resources, and maybe those are affiliates of yours because they're things you don't offer, but they're still related and help your client. And you could have maybe two more pillars where there's another sub page or related articles. So it's just kind of that drilling down. So this sort of explains that in a way that hopefully is concise enough to understand. But a pillar page is that hub of your content. And you're linking through to kind of the subs of it. And again, it's nothing to be overwhelming. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it's like thinking of it a way as like, how are you going to organize your content? And it's coming back to that sitemap approach. Whereas if you have a pillar and there's something that's really important to your brand, then you probably also want to blog about it. And you probably also want to link to more things, right? So it does come naturally too as you kind of dig deeper into your content. Yeah, but hopefully that's kind of making sense as a way to organize things. I'll hop ahead here.
So SEO pitfalls to avoid. Are you making these mistakes? Neglecting keyword research. So especially, we just spoke about this, but when it comes to creating content and content clustering, keyword research is going to be your best friend, and failing to conduct thorough keyword research is a common mistake. So you need to look at identifying relevant keywords and phrases that potential customers are using in their search queries to optimize your website and improve your search rankings. And then ignoring on-page optimization. What does that mean? Wellness business owners often overlook on-page optimization elements such as meta tags, header tags, and keyword-rich content. These factors play a role in helping search engines understand the context and relevance of your website. So it's crucial that you optimize them properly. That's a whole being in itself. So I would recommend looking into that. So look into, write this down, meta tags, header tags, and keyword rich content, because that we could do a whole nother webinar on that. Overlooking local SEO. So wellness businesses primarily target local customers. Neglecting your local SEO can be detrimental. Ensure your business is listed accurately on Google My Business, and optimize your website for local keywords, and encourage customer reviews to enhance your local search visibility. So that's specifically on Google My Business. You should try to incentivize customer reviews if you can. If you're using a platform like Jane, I have clients where we send out an email, I think every 6 visits, and ask them for a testimonial. So a lot of people forget, or they're just busy. But when it is a consistent 6-visit email, they typically do it, even if it's just rating the company without putting any words in. If you can incentivize them to give you a review, but ask them to use specific keywords in your review, you're better off. Lack of high quality content. So content is king in the digital world, and producing high quality, valuable content is essential for SEO. Avoid thin or duplicate content, and instead focus on creating informative blog posts, articles, videos, and other resources that address the needs and interests of your target audience. So be careful with using AI with this. There's already bots with Google that can tell if you've created an AI piece of content. I would still say use AI, but then make edits and write according to your customer. Don't just copy and paste an AI article. Neglecting mobile optimization. You always want to create your website for mobile first and then for a desktop, because most people are using mobile. Failing to optimize your website for mobile can result in a poor user experience, higher bounce rates, and Google will also lower your search rankings. So always build for mobile and then edit for desktop. Ignoring link building. So building a strong backlink profile is crucial for SEO. Business owners should actively seek opportunities to acquire high quality and relevant backlinks from reputable websites in their industry. This will improve organic rankings and establish credibility with search engines. So this will go with your content clustering too. You do not always have to put that content on your website. You could reach out to partners or local businesses and ask them if they would be interested in featuring a blog post that you've written and then just tagging your website. And most people will, because they also want that content on their website for their audience. And then forgetting about analytics and tracking. Not tracking and analyzing website performance can hinder your SEO efforts. Use tools like Google Analytics to monitor important metrics such as organic traffic, keyword rankings, and user behavior. This data will be super valuable for refining your SEO strategy and identifying areas of improvement, not only for SEO, but also for your website.
Perfect. All right. I guess quickly, any other quick questions on this? I know sometimes it can be a little confusing if you're not too versed in SEO. Feeling okay? Ooh, going the wrong way here. Okay. So we will also be sending you out if you're through your emails like a wellness website checklist that kind of covers a lot of these pieces so that you can kind of chunk it out and make sure you have like the majority of these completed. So we'll send you that resource that can help. Oh, we have a question about the link building side of things. So going into that a little bit further. Yeah, so your main aim with link building. So maybe like, I don't know, call it a while ago, there was a strategy of, being listed on all these directory sites and just trying to like get as many links as possible back to your site and just, maybe secretly, like if you're an agency, like secretly linking like your random client sites together and like some weird hidden page and all this kind of stuff. So that whole zone is dead. And basically like search engines are, smarter than that. Google's smarter than that. They want content for real humans. And so the link building piece is thinking through it from like a real person's perspective. It's going about, what other websites, entities out there would it make sense for me to kind of have a collaboration with, where maybe I link to something on their page, maybe they link to something on mine. And so the idea here is to create links to your content that are like aligned. And obviously in an ideal world, you want those websites to be like credible, high authority websites, or at least of like similar authority as you. So not some like spammy, I don't know, fake type of website, but somewhere where maybe if you're in a certain market, like you're the mindfulness coach, and then your services are online, but maybe you really believe in pairing that with like a yoga practice. So maybe you reach out to a yoga studio in every city across Canada and you say, hey, I'll blog to you about the benefits of yoga. You can share it on your website and you can link back to me at the end being like, this blog was from so-and-so. They specialize in this if you need them. And so they're getting free content, but you're getting a link back. Maybe they're sharing that in their email. So it's kind of this collaboration approach is a much better way of thinking of link building. And then you can also have that done on autopilot in the sense of you could work with a VA, which they have a little script and you just like send it out to different studios being like, here's what I can do. Here's the trade. Have a link for this, a link for that kind of thing. So hopefully that makes a bit more sense on the creating links that are real and have more benefit to than just the link itself. That's the best way to think of it. And yeah, the idea of kind of burying a bunch of links in some behind images or whatever doesn't actually work. And it was a lot of tedious work anyway. So you can just ignore all that if that was something that you'd heard before. Okay, so we have a few last minutes here. If you have any other questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. We can kind of get to them. Sorry, Alana, did you
I just want to add, you also want to do link building within your own website. So you want to have internal links linking to content on your website. So that's like in your blog, you'll just do keywords to like another blog post that maybe explains that keyword, or to a particular service page. You want to add as many internal links as you can.
For sure. And that's like pairing that content clustering concept. Is like, if someone's reading this and I have more information on it, instead of blabbing on forever in that paragraph, I could just link to it to where it already is. So it keeps the user flowing through, and it creates links on the link building kind of search side. So awesome. Okay. So lastly, before we go, we wanted to just touch on what we've been up to lately. Is we're launching a mastermind for wellness entrepreneurs. So these are the kind of things that we talk about in that mastermind. We bring in guest experts. So I don't know if any of you were at our online summit. We brought together a bunch of experts in different realms. So those are the kind of things that we offer in our mastermind, is like filling your questions with those who know that best. So if ideally, if you're someone who looks for that accountability, that support, understands that collective kind of wisdom and how much that can benefit you, definitely say check out our website for more information on that, or reach out to us. We would love to meet with you and just see if you're a good fit for it. But basically, our motto has always been, this is why we started Market Me Strategy in the first place, is like, you really can't do it all yourself. And we have seen so much value in the services in the wellness industry that we've experienced firsthand. And so we want to help wellness businesses scale. And the best way we've grown our business was through joining a mastermind ourselves. And so we came together and we're like, we want to, kind of pay that forward and curate a group that's specific for this industry, so that you're really learning from those who get it, who've been through it, who haven't have your back in that way and have the context of your specific challenges. And of course, from that you create lasting friendships. Alana and I actually first met through a mastermind program years ago, and it came to us starting a business together and all of this. So you never know kind of what opportunities come out of taking that next step if something just feels right. And so if you're interested at all, this is kind of the framework for it. We're looking for those kind of wellness business owners that want to grow their impact, who have that, goal of kind of growing their business. And we'll be meeting in a bi-weekly fashion. You get access to all of our growth resources as they come out, as we launch them. And then, like I mentioned, those bonus expert calls, because we are, marketing strategists through and through, but we love to learn from different pieces. There's, more than just strategy that kind of helps you grow. So again, if that's something that interests you, we'd love to chat more. I'll send the link here. You can book a call with us in a calendar that works for you, and we can just chat. And again, no pressure situation. We just want to learn more about your business, and we'll let you know if it's a good fit. And if you need more insight, we can fill you in on that. And I'll also share the link straight to some more information in case you are the kind of person that likes to dig around and learn a little more first. So you can check it out on our website. So that brings us to 1. Is there any last questions? We can answer them quickly before we sign off here, but otherwise check your inbox shortly for that checklist. And I appreciate you all joining us live.
Thank you so much, Tori and Alana. I'm looking forward to our call tomorrow, but I'm going to check out your mastermind online as well too, just to get more information. But thank you. This has been great.
Appreciate it, Kim. Thank you for your time and being here.
See you tomorrow.
And stay tuned for your email. You'll get a checklist with some really helpful resources in it as well.
Fantastic.
Amazing. Appreciate you all. I will just stop our recording here. And like I said, reach out on social as well. I'll click forward to that one so people can know how to contact us. Oh, There we go. I'll end on that screen there. So thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks so much.